The first 24 hours of a zombie outbreak are pure chaos, uncertainty multiplying with every passing minute. The hardest choice? Realizing quick that this isn't a false alarm and that your survival depends on locking yourself away before the madness breaks in. This isn't about waiting for perfect info. You'll be trusting gut instinct and scrambled signals. Locking down isn't glamorous, but it buys you crucial minutes and your sanity. First thing, confirming the threat and locking down. Deciding when an outbreak is serious enough to act feels like standing on a cliff's edge, because it is. Waiting for full proof means risking exposure. Early signs rarely arrive neatly. You'll spot unusual violence, hear distorted police radio chatter, catch disturbing alerts about riots or attacks, and see horrifying clips flooding social media. Nothing screams zombies just yet, but combined, these warnings should flip your survival switch. Once convinced it's real, it's time to lock every door, pull every blind, and gather the household in one secure interior room. No dawdling. Doors slam shut, blinds snap down to block view, pets corralled, and everyone moves to a windowless room if you've got one. This isn't fortress building. It's creating a protective bubble while the grid still holds, before power and water falter. Lockdown cuts off easy entry. Most break-ins happen through unlocked or flimsy points. Panicking or rushing can leave those wide open. Don't forget that garage door either. Looters, desperate neighbors, or worse can breach simple gaps. The goal? Make forcing entry costly, slow, and risky. Psychologically, lockdown saves you. Panic screams fight or flight, tempting you to bolt outside or confront threats unarmed, which is a terrible idea. But locking down and assigning roles, one news scanner, one calming the family, focuses energy on measured moves and cuts impulsive mistakes. When everyone has a part, stress drops and control grows. Lockdown isn't just a quick fix. It's the survival posture for the day ahead. That central room becomes Command HQ. Constantly monitor emergency info, local sounds, and social feeds. Adapt as new data comes in, but always follow the rule. Stay inside, stay calm, and buy time. If locking down fast sounds harsh, wait until you hear why filling the bathtub and sinks is your next step. Filling the bathtub and sinks. Water is the undisputed king of survival. Without it, nothing else matters. Yet most people take municipal water for granted until it suddenly vanishes or turns nasty. The moment your area goes into lockdown, filling every bathtub and sink with water isn't just a good idea. It's mandatory. Power and water infrastructure can collapse within hours once chaos hits. So this step buys you a precious window of treated, safe water before everything goes sideways. Before you dismiss filling your tub like it's a weird prepper quirk, hear me out. Your bathtub can hold anywhere from 40 to 80 gallons of water. That's a literal lifeline ready to be tapped into. And sinks add extra volume too. Using FDA-approved liners like a water bob protects that water from contamination, turning your tub into a giant, clean reservoir. Without these liners, your water might still be okay for flushing toilets or cleaning, but it's risky for drinking unless treated later. While your tub fills, grab smaller containers, jugs, bottles, pots, and fill them too for immediate use. You won't want to dip back into that giant tub every time you need a drink. At the same time, get your water purification tools ready. Household bleach, purification tablets, or portable filters become your best friends if you have to use less than ideal water later on. Here's where it gets weirdly critical. Water defeats anxiety. There's nothing like knowing you have a safe few days of drinking water already stored to calm the panic racing through your head. When fear hits, the thought of stepping outside, possibly into zombie-infested streets just to find water, is terrifying. Filling your tub early means you don't have to gamble with your safety or expose yourself. It frees your mind to plan ahead instead of scrambling for basic needs. And the clock is ruthless. Power outages start screwing with municipal pumping stations quickly. Within the first day of a total collapse scenario, pressure drops and contamination spread like wildfire. If you wait until taps run dry or water turns foul, you're already behind. Early water storage isn't just prepping for a maybe someday. It's taking advantage of the last functioning lifeline while you still can. Think of your tub not as a bathroom fixture, but as an emergency water vault. Start filling it immediately after you lock your doors. Fill sinks too, then smaller containers. Sanitize if you can, but don't obsess. Getting water stored safely and fast beats perfection. Have bleach or tablets ready for any water you collect later, because purity is your ultimate safeguard. By securing water right off the bat, you're not just surviving, you're buying freedom. Freedom from panic. Freedom to think. Freedom to plan the next moves without the desperation that kills. So even if you hate the idea of turning your tub into a giant water tank, do it anyway. Your survival depends on it. Up next, once your water's locked down, you need to know exactly what supplies you have on hand and what you desperately still need. That brings us to assessing your immediate inventory. Assessing your immediate inventory. Knowing exactly what you have right after lockdown isn't just helpful, it's vital. Without a clear inventory, you risk acting recklessly, assuming assuming you're better stocked than you really are, or freezing up in overwhelm because you don't know where to start. Both extremes are disaster waiting to happen. Before you roll your eyes thinking this sounds like a chore, hear me out. A quick but thorough room-by-room sweep of your inventory will shape every survival choice you make in the next 24 hours. It's about making plans based on facts, not hope or panic. Catalog everything. Essentials like food, water, meds, plus tools, important documents, and communications gear. Start in the kitchen. Count how many days your food will actually last. Then check bathrooms for medications and first aid supplies, which are often the most critical shortages and will fix your priorities fast. Don't forget power sources, batteries for flashlights and radios, plus copies of IDs, insurance, or medical info you can stash nearby. Use pen and paper or a notes app to make a list as you go. This isn't just inventorying. It's a mental anchor when stress runs high and forgetfulness sneaks in. Written checklists stop you from overlooking items that could save your life. It turns gut panic into a clear-headed reality check. Here's the kicker. Knowing your exact situation lets you decide if you can safely shelter in place or need to scramble a bug-out plan. If meds are low or water's nearly gone, that's an urgent red flag. If your food supply sits comfortably at a week's worth of canned goods, you can breathe easier and focus on fortifying your position instead of frantic scavenging. Inventorying also reduces panic itself. When the world outside is collapsing, zeroing in on things you control, like counting supplies, calms your brain and sharpens decision-making. Cognitive science says this kind of active coping strengthens resilience to anxiety. But here's where it gets weird. Many people discover they seriously underestimated their food or overestimated their meds. Finding you have only 2 days of prescription meds left is the kind of reality check that forces you to rethink every move. No random pharmacy runs unless absolutely necessary. This reconnaissance saves precious energy and time by cutting reckless quests. On the flip side, if your inventory shows decent reserves, it's tempting to get complacent or hunt for non-essentials like comfort food or gadgets. Don't fall for it. A precise count keeps your goals laser-focused. Survival priority 1, then 2, and so on. So, in those first chaotic hours, before any sudden moves, do the inventory sweep. Know what you have and what you lack. Write it down, be brutally honest, and use it to guide your next steps. Because in Outbreak mode, your immediate resources are your world. Controlling what you know about them isn't just an advantage. It's survival strategy number 1. But if you think mastering your inventory is the hardest mental task, wait until you hear why going full blackout and radio silent might save your life next. Going full blackout and radio silent. Being seen or heard at the wrong moment can be a death sentence in any outbreak scenario. Here's the thing. Light and sound don't just illuminate your space, they broadcast your location, painting a target right on your back. Before you scoff and think I'm not that careless, hear me out. In blackout conditions, any stray exterior light can act like a flare for the desperate or infected, while loud noises can travel far, drawing unwanted attention. The obvious move is to extinguish all external lights, or at least shield them. Outdoor motion sensor lamps, which are great for everyday security, become liabilities. They can blindside you by revealing your presence if the power fails. Survivors who drape heavy blankets or blackout curtains over windows and turn off visible indoor lights drastically reduce their chances of detection. But inside, you still need some light for essentials. Use flashlights or lanterns behind closed doors or curtains to keep illumination contained and avoid leaking signals outside. That safe core of dimly lit rooms lets you move without tripping over furniture but stays invisible to watchers. Noise is the other side of the stealth coin. A loud blender or slamming door in a ghostly quiet neighborhood is like a welcome mat. So schedule noisy chores carefully. Do them during natural cover like storms, sirens, or distant gunfire when ambient noise masks your activity. Keep conversations low. Even whispers can carry surprisingly far in a still environment. Firearms? Use only if absolutely necessary because shots will echo and attract trouble within blocks. Quiet discipline isn't just tactical, it's survival. Communication needs the same stealth mindset. Voice calls can flood networks and let anyone triangulate your position. Instead, switch to texts, emails, or low-power handheld radios like FRS or GMRS for critical messages. Keep calls for genuine emergencies only. Experts recommend downloading important data, maps, medical guides, contact lists, onto your devices early in the event when power and connectivity still work. Then go dark, minimizing any screen use to save battery life. On that front, conserve device power like your life depends on it, because it might. Use power banks, hand crank chargers, or small solar panels if you have them to stretch your juice. Remember, communications infrastructure can collapse fast, especially if blackouts last beyond 72 hours. Your first 24 hours are prime time for charging up and prepping offline info. But here's where it gets weird. You can't go completely off-grid. Total informational isolation fuels anxiety and paranoia just as much as constant doom scrolling. The key is Balance. Set scheduled check-in times with someone you trust. Just 10 minutes every couple of hours on a battery radio or brief text scans, so you stay connected without flooding the airwaves. This selective monitoring reduces panic and prevents feeling utterly cut off in a world suddenly hostile and silent. So going radio silent isn't about ignorance or surrender. It's a strategic, disciplined stealth mode. You want to blend into the dark and quiet like a shadow, only peeking out briefly on your own terms. Because in the chaos of a zombie outbreak, or any sudden disaster, visibility kills. But if you think dimming your lights and softening your voice is tough, wait until you start packing your emergency bug-out bag. That's when silent prep turns into action. Preparing an emergency bug-out bag. When your home turns from safe haven to death trap in a zombie outbreak, the bag on your back isn't just gear, it's your lifeline. Bug-out bags are designed for rapid evacuation when fire, structural damage, or an overwhelming threat force you out with no time to pack. But here's the catch. Every ounce counts. You're aiming for a lightweight load, about 20 to 25 pounds max, that holds exactly what you need and nothing you don't. Before you start stuffing random supplies, the first rule is prioritizing water and medications. Water is heavy, but non-negotiable. Carry at least a liter or two to stay hydrated on the move, plus purification tools like tablets or a small filter, because counting on finding clean water out there is a gamble. Medications are life or death for some people. Pack at least a 3-day supply, if not more, and any essential devices like inhalers or glucose monitors. This isn't the time to leave your meds behind because your pack felt too full. Food plays a different role in your bug-out bag. Instead of full meals, you're packing compact, calorie-dense snacks. Think beef jerky, nuts, energy bars, small peanut butter packets. The aim is quick energy boosts, not gourmet cooking. Enough to fuel your escape and keep your brain sharp, not enough to settle in and feast. Rations, not buffets. Don't overlook hygiene. Travel-sized hand sanitizer, wet wipes, a toothbrush, and a roll of dental floss that doubles as cordage. Staying clean in a crisis isn't about comfort. It's about preventing illness when medical help might be days away. Here's where most people mess up: overpacking. Emergency stress makes you want to bring everything just in case, turning your pack into a boulder strapped to your back. That's the fastest way to injury or abandonment of your bag when panic hits. Use pre-prepared grab lists that rank what's critical and what's optional. So if you have 5 minutes during evacuation, you focus on life-saving essentials and don't second-guess yourself. The mental side of assembling your bug-out bag is just as crucial. Psychologists say packing that bag reminds you staying put is a choice, not a trap. In the chaos of a zombie outbreak, knowing you could leave in minutes with everything you need anchors your thoughts and helps maintain calm. It gives you control over a situation designed to steal it away. So yes, that weight limit feels brutal. You want to bring your entire survival arsenal, some sentimental keepsakes, and maybe a weapon or two. But carrying an overloaded pack is a liability, not a shield. The hard truth: survival is about smart sacrifice. A good bug-out bag, packed tight with water, ready meds, energy snacks, hygiene, and key tools, is a psychological and physical insurance policy for when your shelter becomes untenable. When the world outside is falling apart, that bag can be the difference between catching your breath and being caught. But if you think packing is tough, wait until you start planning your secondary escape routes. We'll cover that next. Mapping a secondary escape route. Relying on a single exit during a zombie outbreak is like betting your life on one card, and we all know how well that usually turns out. Before you write off escape route planning as overkill, hear me out. The truth is, nobody escapes unscathed by putting all their eggs in one door-shaped basket. Most people think about the front door or their car as the inevitable getaway method. But what if that road is blocked? What if your driveway is clogged with abandoned cars, or zombies have gathered like it's their own private block party? If you only have that one route planned, you're trapped, literally. That's why identifying and mapping secondary escape routes is your insurance policy. This means looking beyond obvious exits to back doors, basement windows prepped with escape ladders, side gates, or even a route through neighbors' yards. At a neighborhood scale, it means tracing low-traffic side streets, footpaths through parks, or running trails that bypass main roads likely clogged with chaos. Before the outbreak hits, or in the early quiet hours when you still can, get a physical map out. Mark your home, primary routes, and then start penciling in these alternative paths. This is more than doodling. It's mentally rehearsing your options, so when adrenaline spikes, you don't freeze up, staring blankly at the same jammed freeway. And don't forget to include a variety of transportation modes. Vehicles might be the go-to, but traffic jams and blaring horns will attract every zombie and looter for miles. Walking or biking routes routes, even if slower, might be faster and safer when engines stall and panic roars. Having multiple ways out means you can adapt on the fly if the main road is a dead end. Pun absolutely intended. Now, layering your options is key. Pick your top 2 or 3 routes and decide in advance what conditions flip the switch from stay put to bug out. These go but no-go triggers might be anything. A confirmed infection nearby, fires advancing, or certain roads becoming impassable. Once those lines are drawn, stick to them. Hesitation during a crisis is deadly. This kind of planning isn't guesswork. It's a survival strategy grounded in evacuation science, fire safety codes, and disaster case studies. Fields that agree. Those who map out multiple escape routes and rehearse them before disaster strikes have dramatically better odds. Finally, talk through these routes with everyone in your household. Make sure each person knows not only where to go, but how to get there quietly and quickly. Practice slipping out through a window versus the front door. The familiarity lowers the risk of panic or mistakes when seconds count. Mapping your way out when things are calm frees your mind to focus on survival, not being stuck in that nightmare traffic jam nobody escaped from. Because here's the truth. Your secondary escape route just might be the difference between walking away and being trapped. But if you think mapping one extra route is enough, wait until you see the chaos that comes from weak entry points. Next up, we're fortifying every vulnerable door and window to actually keep the nightmare out. Fortifying vulnerable entry points. Locking your doors isn't enough to keep zombies, or desperate humans, out. Here's the thing. Most homes aren't built to withstand a full-on siege, but with some smart hacks, you can turn weak spots into serious delay traps. We're talking locksmith and security pro tricks that could literally buy you minutes or longer, which in a crisis can be a lifetime. First rule of door defense: solid core doors are your front line. Hollow or flimsy exterior doors might as well be welcome mats. Upgrade your locks to quality deadbolts, none of those cheap spring-loaded latches, and swap out the short screws holding your strike plates and hinges for 3-inch steel monsters that bite into the framing studs behind your door jamb. Those tiny factory screws snap out like popcorn when someone kicks the door, but heavy-duty long screws tie your whole frame together, making forced entry much harder. Door jamb reinforcement kits add thick metal shields around your lock area to spread impact and protect those weak spots. Low-tech, but incredibly effective. Sliding doors get zero respect in home security. They're basically open invitations unless locked down properly. Sliding a wooden dowel or metal bar into the track is a classic move. Simple, cheap, and it stops the door from sliding open. But glass is still glass, and it breaks easily. Security film can hold shattered panes together long enough to slow attackers smashing through. If that's not an option, plywood boarding is your next best bet. But beware, too much boarding turns your home into a trapped box with no escape or fresh air. Balance is everything. Garages often get overlooked as the weakest link. The door between garage and house? Treat it like an exterior door, deadbolt included. Many garage doors have glass panels or nearby windows. Criminals can smash to reach emergency release cords and slip inside. Cover those release mechanisms and don't rely on electronic openers. They're useless if power goes out or someone tricks your system. Good lighting and trimmed bushes help spot sneaking foes, but lights can also draw zombies. So plan carefully which run and when. Next level protection means a safe room, a fortified fallback inside your home. Ideally, pick a central, windowless room or closet on the lowest floor. Reinforce the door and frame if possible, and stock it with essentials, water, first aid, flashlight, comm gear, and maybe some snacks. It's your panic button zone, your last line if outer defenses fall. You don't need steel walls or CCTV, just a sturdy spot everyone knows as the refuge. Here's where it gets tricky. Over-fortifying backfires. Barricade every door and window tightly, but block escape routes, and you're trapped inside. Experts stress having at least 2 escape routes at all times. You want to slow attackers, not box yourself in. This applies to your safe room too. It can't become a coffin. Always balance lockdown with flexibility. Perimeter deterrence counts too. Solar-powered motion-activated floodlights work even if the grid fails, and startle intruders. Trim landscaping to deny hiding spots. Cameras add awareness and warn intruders. This place is watched. But in a zombie outbreak, flashing cameras and bright lights might attract unwanted attention, so use them carefully. At the end of the day, fortifying your home means turning your place from a sitting duck into a fortress that tests any hostile force's patience. The longer you stall forced entries, zombies or looters alike, the better your chances of escape, rescue, or simply outlasting danger. But don't forget, fortification alone won't save you. It's a chance to buy time, not build an impenetrable wall. Keep moving, planning, and stay sharp. Next, we'll cover how to stay connected when everything's falling apart, setting up solid contact and meetup protocols that keep your people together no matter what. Establishing a contact and meetup protocol. In chaos, Connection is just as vital as water or food, but you can't rely on vague promises like, we'll text each other when networks are overloaded and streets are dangerous. That's why having a crystal clear communication and meetup plan isn't just helpful, it's essential. I can prove it. Before you resist the paperwork, hear me out. The PACE framework, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency, lays out the exact communication hierarchy you need to avoid scrambling for signal while staying in touch. Your primary method might be standard text messaging because it conserves battery and gets through spotty networks better than calls. Alternate options include handheld radios with set channels and privacy codes for short-range contact. If all that fails, satellite messengers or portable internet come next. Radios help break network dead zones by hopping between family members. And emergencies? Think whistles, signal mirrors, or prearranged visual codes in windows or corners. This layered approach isn't a nice to have, it's how you avoid blackout isolation. Here's the kicker. Designate an out-of-town contact who isn't caught up in local chaos. These people act as message relays, so when local cell towers fall or internet crawls, family members report in long distance. Imagine your cousin across the state reading your text, then passing updates to neighbors or other relatives. It keeps heads cool and everyone's status known, cutting down pointless wandering into zombie-filled streets fueled by panic. Meetup points deserve the same thought. Forget the usual spot. That might be swarmed or destroyed. You want tiered locations everyone knows and agrees on firmly. Near-home spots could be a trusted neighbor's house or local park with clear visibility and multiple exits. If things are unsafe, move to a rendezvous point outside the immediate neighborhood, a library, school playground, somewhere less congested. Your ultimate fallback location should be well outside the danger zone, a relative's farm, a friend's safer town, or an official shelter. Everyone must understand these plans and when to switch spots. Clear protocols reduce risky impulse moves fueled by fear. Don't underestimate how much this cuts panic. Mental health experts say social connection is a lifeline during disasters. Knowing how and when you'll hear from loved ones or where to find them if signals go dark stabilizes nerves. It literally stops people from doing stupid things, like running into a horde because they can't stand the silence or uncertainty. A well-drawn communication plan isn't just about keeping phones working, it's a psychological shield against despair and desperation, which kill way faster than zombies ever could. Of course, life is messy. Some family members will be at work, school, or care facilities with their own emergency rules. Your plan should include learning these policies ahead and factoring them into your meetup and communication strategies. Knowing your kid's school locks down and shelters in place might save you from a risky rescue attempt. Or, if those places evacuate, you can coordinate reunification points accordingly. Being prepared means folding these realities into your protocol, not pretending everyone's home when disaster strikes. Now here's where it gets weirdly profound. Solid contact routines preserve the social bonds that give survival meaning. It's one thing to have water and shelter. It's another to keep family together, friendships alive, and sanity intact when the world feels like it's ending. That's what separates frantic, scattered masses from coordinated groups calmly navigating danger. Survival isn't just physical, it's social. So, as you finish locking your doors or packing your bug-out bag, take a moment to write down your communication plan. Agree on PACE methods, designate that out-of-town relay, and nail your tiered meetup spots in ink or a note on every phone. This blueprint turns chaos into order, panic into purpose, and disconnected individuals into a united front. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.